What's going on, everybody? Welcome to The Obsession.
I'm Mike Stadler.
Oh, and I'm Carl Bethke. Mike's starting out rough.
I know.
I just punched myself in the face with my muff.
Carl punched himself in the face with his earmuffs. It was awesome.
Oh, God. Oh, it's probably running, so you've probably seen it.
That was good stuff right
that's
there.
great stuff. All right. Mike, this comes from Steve. Steve asked us, food plots. What should I plant to have a better hunt this year? What is the best food plot to plant for deer?
F if I know. Whatever they like.
Yeah.
You know that?
If you're watching, Steve,
Yeah.
I got nothing.
That is a hard one because, you know, deer, they're weird.
They are weird.
I mean, you know, we've had success depending on the year, really.
That's true.
I mean, you know, we like brassicas,
Yes, big time.
obviously. You know, we like to have a purple top turnip,
Yep.
usually.
Yep.
Sugar beets.
Yeah, sugar beets.
Sometimes they love them. Sometimes they don't touch them.
Right.
Radishes.
Yep.
Sometimes they touch them. Sometimes they don't.
Yeah, realistically, they're, yeah.
You know, I mean, it really is. It's.
Yeah.
I've had out here where I had this field one year. I had probably 3 acres of sugar beets and radishes.
That was your first year.
Yeah,
wasn't
you
it?
couldn't keep the deer out of it.
No, right.
They just shredded
Yep.
down. I mean, dug it out of the dirt, ate it.
Gone.
Yeah, I tried it again.
Yeah, not so much.
They didn't really care.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is a jackpot.
Yeah.
It wasn't.
Well, like, you know, it comes into, there's a lot involved with it, too.
You know, it's everything around you too.
Well, that's what it comes
It's the
down to.
biggest thing.
So, when it comes to food plotting, and, you know, Mike and I see things pretty much the same. We're part of different groups, worked with many different food plot companies. Currently, we're with Pure Wildlife Seed Company, which is Jeff Sturgis's
Yeah.
food plot company. Makes some really great mixes, and I like Jeff as a person. He's a very smart guy, especially when it comes to whitetailing. We've also talked with John O'Brien, who is Grandpa Ray's, who is a very intelligent individual also when it comes to food plot seeding and stuff.
We worked with Whitetail Institute.
Who work with Whitetail Institute. We work with Maxi Rack.
Yeah.
Over the last 30 years is what we're saying, guys. That being said, the most reliable, like if you just want deer on your property, that I think easy to take care of, easy to plant, easy to maintain, what do you got?
Clover.
Clover.
Drum roll.
100%. We've actually taken the time. We actually designed our own clover mix also.
Yeah.
And a lot of the companies that are out there now use something very, very close to what we've found to be very successful for us. Clover is probably the easiest plot, I think, to maintain, and at least here in southern Wisconsin, even northern Wisconsin, Minnesota, Iowa, any of the Midwest states, is probably your most reliable whitetail food plot source,
Yeah.
I think.
It grows in the hardiest locations too.
Yes.
That some plots won't grow in.
Right.
Which is another thing, you know, Stephen. You really have to know your soil,
Yeah.
where you're planting, your sunlight. It's a huge thing.
Everything that's a food plot needs sun.
Yeah.
Straight up, that's how it works.
And some soils aren't going to grow certain plots. They're just not. No matter how good your seed is, if that soil's not good enough,
Yeah.
or you don't prep it good enough, or you're not adding stuff to it
Yep.
as you're planting, it's just not going to grow.
Yeah.
Or the time of you're planting the wrong time of year,
Yep.
it's not going to grow.
I think, and from communicating with all the people that I've told you about, John O'Brien is probably the most knowledgeable individual I know when it comes to soil. I actually did some soil sampling earlier this year, and it amazed me what they told me about the soil on my property. So the lower levels, so like Mom's plot, the main cornfield that we're planting this week, basically needs nothing. Nitrogen, nothing.
Yeah, that's good.
The second level, 4,000 pounds per acre of nitrogen alone. And it's 25 feet up on that bank. And that's what they're recommending. So I am using Plot Start, which is liquid, which will get sprayed. We'll put the seed in the soil, and then we'll spray over the top of it, add the nitrogen to it. Basically going to put enough for 4,000 pounds of nitrogen in there. Then we will also add Plot Boost at the time after pre-emerging, and then I will also use a urea if necessary. Urea is big on brassica plots,
yeah.
and Mike and I will attest to that, and we will talk about that here coming up shortly.
Yeah.
But it is a big deal. Number one thing, and John O'Brien will tell you this, guy from Grandpa Ray's, that number one thing to do is soil testing. Very important. It's not just your nitrogen levels either. There's potassium and calcium and all this other stuff. And it's the ability of your plants to be able to pull these nutrients out of the soil. Because your soil can have all the nutrients in it, but if your plants can't pull the nutrients out, you're screwed. And there's a lot involved in that. So educating yourself on all of that is very important, or talk to somebody who is educated on it. That being said, sustainability of food. We both use corn. And we will continue to use corn. So there's grains and greens. I guess I want to break it up like that, right?
Yeah.
Your grains, well, and let's just say for grains, I'm not going to consider winter wheat grain. I'm not going to consider oats grain. Grains to me are beans and corn. That's it. Just laying that out for you. So your beans, obviously everybody knows that whitetails will come into the beans early, right? Eat green leaves and all that other stuff. But they leave pods, and if you have a huge number of deer, they'll eat it right down, and you'll never have beans growing anyway, like over at my place. Here at Mike's, he's got beans around the outside of him, and he could probably grow beans, but I think he mixed them. Did you mix them?
Not this year, next year I will.
Next year,
Yep.
Yeah. And tell everybody why you mix them.
Because the corn's pulling it out of the soil.
Pulling nitrogen
out.
Yep.
The beans are putting it back in.
Correct.
The beans have a pretty good chance of living coming up in the rows of corn.
Yep.
So it's just a bigger plot than at the end of the year.
Right.
Then they're all there. The beans are still there.
Yep.
Come fall.
Yep.
So.
And in the fall, the deer don't eat the corn until the corn dries, and they're looking for high carbohydrates. So adding a lot of weight, a lot of fat, and everything onto their body towards the winter time. 9 times out of 10, what happens? Well, all your neighbors here at Mike's place harvest their corn. And down by me, what corn there is around is also harvested. So if I have the remaining corn, I hold the deer.
Yeah, we win.
We win. And I also have to have, at that point, let's just say winter wheat, winter oats, my brassica plots. Brassica plots are a big pull come late September, early October. And Mike and I, like Mike mentioned earlier, are big into, we like purple top turnip, we like tillage radish, and the reason we use tillage radish is because that's helping our soil. They may not even eat the radish part of it, they'll eat just the top of the radish. Sometimes they'll pull them out, sometimes they don't, but they're big on the turnips. Mm-hmm. If they leave the radish, what happens is when that radish is rotting in the soil the next year, it's basically producing a nitrogen pocket, and that helps the following year's crops. So we're helping maintain our soil. If we're lucky enough, we can actually have soil builders that we can put in, whether we use a buckwheat or something like that, if we go with a no-till program, to add more black dirt on top of our soil as it breaks down. That's a big deal. Our corn stuff, like Mike said, crossing, putting beans in with it to help add nitrogen is a big deal. Also keeping a good eye on our pH of our soil and stuff like that throughout the years as we progress through that. Because I think every year you've had the property, you've had corn in here, haven't you? Except that 1 year you had.
Yeah, 1 year I did not.
Yeah, and then you had the brassica in it,
I
right?
had the sugar beets.
Sugar beets, which is also a nitrogen plant.
Sugar beets and radishes.
Yeah. So, and then that only lasted the 1 year. You said you put it in the next year, and then they did like it. So you kind of got to have a group of food plots
Yeah.
to help sustain deer herd.
Yep.
You know, and you want to have enough for your deer throughout the winter. Is what you're trying to do.
Yeah, this is why we have corn and we leave corn.
Yeah.
We don't ever harvest any of our corn.
Nope.
We chop it all down at the in the spring. And also, when you're chopping that corn down, you're grinding that back into the dirt.
Yeah.
It's a good fertilizer too.
Yeah.
That's free that you already planted.
Yeah, we were lucky enough last year actually, Mike bought it, but this year is the first year he used it as that chopper that you bought.
Chopper.
Yeah, and that thing, we'll use that down at my place next year. I didn't do that this year. I did have, you guys, if you watch the shows, we have a basically 2-acre cornfield that runs pretty much full length of my property that I used to let the neighbor harvest, and he would always leave me like 8 or 10 rows down the middle of it. Now this year we've ixnayed that, and Mike and I will be controlling that from here on out. I do have a plan to put in one green plot kind of down below where we recently put the building. It's real rocky in there, but we'll have corn around the outside edge of it. I just want to try it down there just to see if the deer are going to come in and out of that for opportunity for my parents who are older, just to be able to bow hunt there. But that being said, again, brassicas this year, we'll be using Big Boost brassicas from Pure Wildlife Blends. We've already put in Pure Wildlife Blends clover here at Mike's place, which I think is coming up pretty decently.
We can see it.
Yeah, we'll show it to you guys. And then, obviously, Mike's got his corn in here already. I did some of mine on level 2 just last weekend, and I'll finish up this coming week because we've had so much rain.
Yeah.
A few inches of rain.
Yeah, a few.
Yeah, just quite a few.
Yeah,
More than we had over the last few years, I can say
that's
that.
for sure.
Which is good for our crops. But
Yeah. Test your soil.
Test your soil.
See what you can get, and look at what you're planting. Certain things go in certain times of year.
Yep.
And if you hit those times, that's when it's usually the best.
100%.
Same thing. With your corn, you can't just put it in and leave it.
Nope.
You got to at least try to get in there and spray it a couple of times, and so the weeds don't choke it off.
That's one thing. Always remember, use Roundup Ready products if you can. We're firm believers in using spray. If you want to be an organic farmer, then be an organic farmer, but you're not going to be a deer harvester. I can tell you that. So, pretty much covers that. We appreciate the question, Stephen. Hopefully that answered your question. If you guys have any other questions or anything, put them right down here in the comments. Or if you have comments to help Stephen out, put them right down here. We appreciate each and every one of you. If you want to listen to us, just check us out at Spotify,
Google,
Apple,
iHeart,
Amazon.
RSS.com.
Check our pretty faces out right here at YouTube.
Yeah, buddies. Check out Small Property Layouts on Wednesdays and see how we do everything.
Thanks for listening.
Yeah, buddy.